Hey guys, today we're going to do something slightly different than usual. I swear I'm gonna go back to gaming. And this is kind of related to it. If you think hard enough, I'll show you later why. I do have some videos I'm already finished and edited and uploaded. It's just not released to the public yet. So I'll just see when I want to do that. Anyway, we're painting with gouache. I've used it only a couple of times because I prefer to paint with watercolor or oil paint, so please don't judge my painting at the end because it's kind of bad. If you don't know what gouache is, it's basically a mix between acrylic and watercolor. For some annoying reason, this brand and basically any jelly gouache, they don't provide individual lids for each color, so it dries up really quickly. And what you're meant to do is spray it with water once every couple of weeks, which I didn't do, as you can see, which took me hours to reactivate and just make it into a normal consistency. So now I'm gonna tell you how to fix your gouache if it ever ends up looking like mine. The first thing I did was just add a nice layer of water, or just so it kind of just looks like it's slightly submerged in water. It depends how dry it is, but if it's cracked like mine, you have to add a lot, because I remember at the end it was still too thick. After that, you let it sit out for a couple of hours with the lid on and it makes it a lot easier for later. For the next step, I used a palette knife and I just mixed it around until it became smooth. But yeah, would you look at that before and after? Isn't that literally so amazing? It took me so long. Now we're up to the fun part, which is painting. The reference picture that I'm using to paint is from Firewatch, which is a game, if you don't know. And I'm pretty sure I took it myself with the disposable camera that they give you throughout the game, but I don't know. If it's not, I'm sorry. I first painted the background, which is a green, yellowish kind of color, and I painted 2/3 of the little square I had. And I added a lot of water to this because I feel like it wasn't very opaque in the original picture. After painting the background, I moved on to the next layer, which are the trees. I kind of went with the flow. I didn't really have anything. I didn't know what I was doing. I just went with the flow. As you can see, I started with the right side, but then I was this color's wrong, and I just gave up, and then I just moved to the left side. And I'm I'll come back to it later. Randomly, when I'm recording, I got kind of bored and I wanted to make it soothing at first, but I ended up watching shows and like random YouTube videos. So some clips will be on mute, especially in the middle portion, I think. So sorry, but I did put music to make it a bit less boring. After the trees, I began to move on with the path, and I just couldn't get it right. Like, no matter how many times I tried to change it, I feel like I just made it worse, and I just gave up and stopped trying. And like, in the end, I feel like it still looks pretty like flat. Like, there's just not a lot of like shadows, and like, I can definitely improve on it, but I just gave up. So you just have to deal with it.
idea that John has. Yes, he goes too far, what with the murder of it all. But there are seeds of truth within his insane ranting. We as people often don't appreciate the lives we live. We're too busy wallowing in our own self-pity, comparing our lives to others, wanting to tear down and sabotage those we envy, taking advantage of others to get ahead, destroying others for the sake of our own hypocritical self-righteousness, wasting hours of our lives on unproductive activities without working towards something more, etc., etc. There is purpose and meaning to our lives, but we tend to get too distracted by our own selfishness and self-indulgence to discover it. It shouldn't take such disastrous events like coming so close to death, poverty, or whatever rock bottom you can imagine to spark this realization, but it often does. If the traps were more properly written to encapsulate this idea, it would only strengthen John Jigsaw's guise as the embodiment of the extreme situations we encounter that force us to realize how precious our lives and the lives of others are. Would it not be cool if
The last part was just me adding the grass, like the yellow grass, but it just wasn't I don't know what the problem was, but like I can't make it like smooth, like the lines, and it just ended up looking like one big mess. I'm not very good at this, but it's okay. I'm gonna ask my friend for help. Like this is like atrocious. This is not good, but I'm like watching myself and it's like it looks so bad. This is me adding a couple more touch-ups, mainly like the reddish area, but you know what, it's not that bad. Like I am and I was hating on it before, but I really like the trees, so this isn't bad for like my second try. Okay, now we're up to the second painting and the last one. I gave up on gouache, so I'm using watercolour. That's the one I'm using right now. This is my favorite fine liner ever. It's really good for watercolour. I feel like it really smudges. And that's my favorite pencil. After scrolling through Pinterest for like a really long time, I was like, oh my god, I should paint a pomegranate. So that's what we're doing. I started off using my pencil to just sketch it out. And most people use pens just like straight up for like urban sketching, which is kind of like the look I was going for, but I was just too scared, so I just spent like a couple minutes sketching it out quickly before moving on. After doing a rough sketch, I began to use my fine liner and just trace out the main shapes. And also when I was like just starting out, I was like, why is everything smudging? And I didn't realize I had to let the ink dry for like an hour or so. So maybe not an hour, I don't know. I just like let it sit there. But yeah, you're meant to let it sit. Otherwise it will smudge. Especially when you do like watercolor or something. Here's just a clip of me rubbing it out. It looks really aggressive, but I swear it wasn't like abusing the paper. I was like rubbing it like normal, but it's like on 2 times speed, so it just looks really aggressive. I feel like the shadows was kind of hard because each time I didn't go dark enough and the paper was like disintegrating, and it took me a while to actually get the right shade. So yeah, you'll see me struggling with that for like a while.
before you land with travel mode on Bumble.
I was having a lot of trouble deciding what color I should do for the background, and I was stuck between a mustard yellow or a light blue. And I was like, wait a minute, they're opposite sides on the color wheel, so it would be like a really good pair. And also I saw a lot of pictures online, so that like really persuaded me, because I was like, these look good and no one's doing yellow, that means yellow must be bad. So that's how I ended up on blue. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. This was actually quite fun, so maybe I'll record me painting the other half of this page. I'm sorry if I repeated myself a lot or if I wasn't really clear with my words, because I didn't write a script, since I noticed that it made me sound really monotone and I didn't really like that. So I swear I'll get better. Like, it's my first time, guys. Anyway, bye!